Will Jordan Peterson become a Muslim? That's a question I've been asking myself for a while, and the reason is because recently Jordan was talking to many interesting people on his podcast. I mean, mainly Christians talking about God, then atheists such as Lawrence Krauss about the universe from nothing, then people who study the Bible, and finally he talked to a first Muslim ever on such a large platform, and that was Mustafa Akil. Why is this such a huge news? Well, in today's world, Islam is perceived as something, to be scared of, and most of these people only invite on these shows people who have certain viewpoint, or they are ex-Muslims, or maybe they have some negative situations or negative experiences to share with them about Islam. But this is the first time I'm seeing it from kind of a positive light. And even though it's a modernist, Muslim guy who goes there and explains stuff, he's very knowledgeable, mashallah. Jordan Peterson is an academic, he's a professor, so education is very important to him. And he also made a lot of biblical series on his YouTube channel where he deconstructs the archetypes in biblical stories and stuff like that. So he is very in touch with sort of the nature of the divine, and he understands people need it. However, he never called himself religious or per se that he believes in God. And many times he was asked that question, and he responded with, well, I think I try to act as if God existed. So that's kind of a cop-out. So he's definitely in that search part for sure, because I think Jordan can see a few things. Jordan can see that the scientific or atheistic narrative and secularism doesn't produce good outcomes in society, and it doesn't actually answer none of the big questions we need answers for as human beings. By speaking with Sam Harris and all these people, he can find out okay, they have a point, but they're still disqualifying this entire kind of revelation-based religion, whichever you want to pick, Judaism, Christianity, or Islam, or Buddhism, or whatever. And I don't think it sits well with him. So then he studies the Bible, he talks to many Christians and priests and stuff like that. And the problem with the Bible is that, well, you guessed it, it's the Bible. It's the authenticity of the book can be questioned, and it's not even a question of is it really the original Bible? Because there is no original Bible, and Christianity in itself is maybe a nice religion, but it's definitely it definitely has major holes in theology. I'm not even gonna go into the Trinity, what they did with the Bible and how the Gospels are written there. So Jordan, as an educated academic, knows that there are problems with the Bible, but his wife is Christian. I think his daughter maybe as well, which I made a video about. So I think he understands that, and that's the closest to him, but he still sees the major kind of leap to make, which is completely anti-scientific or anti-reason, because I believe he is academic, so he doesn't want to make the jump. Anyways, this is why I think Jordan will become a Muslim, inshallah, if Allah guides him. And here's the reason. Jordan seems pretty open to studying about Islam, and he seems pretty sincere. So his devotion to truth is something that's a sign of a good character. And whoever is open and whoever seeks to understand the truth and to understand if God exists, he shall receive. So I believe if he has this mindset, and he will get rid of his maybe some mental blocks, or maybe some of his previous ideologies that he was infected with, which can be anything, to be honest, at this stage, that I think it will lead him to find the answers. But I think we're doing it in the wrong way. And by we, I mean the Muslims. Basically, right now, he's going to talk on the podcast with a couple of Muslim guys about Islam and about politics and stuff like that. And he's mainly interested in the political situation and political, let's say, implications of Islam, like the Sharia and stuff, and all these things, which makes sense. I mean, these are the questions that always pop up, but I believe we shouldn't start there. So here's how I think Jordan can get to accept Islam, and it's pretty simple. First of all, Jordan needs to decide if he believes there is God. And the simplest way to do it is in a combination with the Revelation, the Quran, or you can read, the Bible and everything like that, and use your basic philosophy, basic reasoning to come to conclusion that there must be an uncaused cause which stops the infinity chain, creator, the first mover, all these things you can find in basic philosophy. So use your reason to establish that there is a creator, there is something that caused everything to exist. Okay, now once you have this, simply put, just look at different religions, and as you can see, many of them have problem with basic theology, and they don't answer the most important questions about the origin of the universe or the first cell and all these things. And they don't provide many miracles as well. Once you establish, okay, there might be a creator, and you study the religions, go and look at Islam and just study the basic theology and learn the most important thing, who is Allah. Because at this stage, I think we're talking about apples and oranges. When you talk about God, it's something completely different than when a Muslim talks about God. So go and learn the 99 names of Allah and His attributes, and you'll be blown away by the doctrine of Tawheed and how codified it is and how it makes sense. So once you learn like who is Allah and you figure out, okay, well, this makes sense. I mean, this makes sense. I'm not a Muslim, but this makes total sense. Then I would suggest you pick up a Quran and just go through the English version. I would suggest a translation of the clear Quran in English, and that's a good way to start. Once you go through the Quran, try to figure out the basis of theology in terms of the pillars, the main things that Muslims should be doing, what happens when they die, what happens in the grave, how the sins are forgiven, is there an original sin idea, and all these basic things. Why is Quran the last revelation? How does it make sense in the Christian context? How does it make sense from the Judaism point of view? And only then you can look at Islam as a system that you can apply in society, and look at the politics and study how politics and history of Islam evolved, and then how the banking system works, what's haram, what's halal, and all that. Because we started in this last segment, and it's good to start there at the end. Like, you should first learn about these things. Anyways, the last point is, and this is gonna be a big problem for you, is to accept Muhammad as your last and final messenger. And many people have problem with this because they can see the wisdom behind Islam and they can understand who is Allah because it's pretty simple, but they can't get their hands around the Arab brown guy with a beard who is a prophet. We don't want to accept it. And you have this image of like a warlord who's raping people and everybody like that. But subhanallah, this is something you need to change in your mind, and you need to study about his life. And I suggest you look up different use cases, or just read about Muhammad's life. Basically read about his upbringing, how the angels came to him at the young age to give him the sign on his back, how then he was raised in Mecca and near Kaaba by his grandfather and then uncle. What happened then in how he received the revelation in the cave. What about his first wife? And then look at the signs, the miracles that he brought forward, and also his sort of character. By character I mean how trustworthy he was, how merciful he was. When there were 10,000 companions surrounding the Mecca, he let everybody go. He didn't kill people that could die under the sword in 1 second. He let them go. So look up these instances, and then also you can make sense of the more controversial things which are presented in the media. But look up his characteristics overall, and you'll find out that he was a true prophet of God, inshallah. Look up how he treated Christians and Jews, and what about his wives? Why did he have so many wives? What about the widows? I think this will open your eyes. Once Jordan speaks with more Muslims on the show, and he is truly sincere and he understands these points, there's only one thing to do. You need to get on your knees and pray to Allah that He guides you. And when you do this with sincere intention, you shall be guided, inshallah. And so this is my prediction, because as I know, Jordan is an academic and he will know that Islam is true after a while. But then he will have problems with these moral things and Muhammad, peace be upon him, and all these rules in Islam. But he will understand the revelation doesn't have a problem, doesn't have a mistake in the Quran or in who is Allah and all these basic things. So the theology is very rock solid. So I just pray that he sees the truth as it is, and I think he will become a Muslim. I mean, I believe so, that he will be like one of the first ones in the future who will say like, okay, la ilaha illallah Muhammadan Rasulullah, and that's it. That's my prediction. Maybe I'm wrong. It all depends on Allah, not on me or on Jordan. But Jordan, if you are watching this and you are interested in Islam, I would suggest doing the steps as I lay them out, going from the basics to understanding who's Allah. First of all, why there is God. So you're already there. You already understand that there must be God, but you just don't want to admit it. So just figure out, how can there be God? Then why is it Allah? Why is it the God of Islam? How is Islam different from Christianity and Judaism? How does it make sense? Is it the same God? What about Jesus and the doctrine of Jesus and Gospels? And yeah, just go through these steps, and finally it will click, and it will make sense after a few weeks or months. So inshallah, I pray you'll be guided, and let's catch up in the next video. Leave me your comments below. What do you think? Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe this is all a game, and he will never even consider this, because this is very possible. Like, how many people convert to Islam? Very small number of white guys, but I'm a white guy, so hopefully you can relate. Anyways, peace out. See you later. Assalamu alaikum.